In this video I'm going to talk about all the weapons in the Black Masses. I'll start with the weak weapons, then we'll go on to all the more common weapons in the game, like swords, rusty swords, to the great steel swords and weapons, and then move on to divine group of weapons, the noble group of weapons, all the axe weapons in the game, and all the mace and all the hammer weapons as well. When showing all the weapons, I'll be at level 50. All weapon strengths will be measured from level 50. We got the weakest weapons at the top and the stronger weapons at the bottom, but these are all the general stuff you find in the early game. So Broom, our simple weapon of choice, apparently the weakest weapon in the game at level 50. It's only got 26 attack points. We're not going to use any of our abilities because you normally wouldn't have any abilities. Broom, a standard to cleaning the floor, not much else. A Femur Bone, let's get the Femur Bone. That's the Femur Bone. That's one big bone, must have big bones. Looks like someone won't be needing his leg anymore. It's one-handed, that's 26, range 26. So it looks like no one will be needing his leg anymore. It's definitely the true there. The oar, that's actually one of the first weapons you get. Turns out that this can be used for more than just paddling. So yeah, do a little bit of work with that one. And the broken sword, what remains of a sword? Quite simple, 43. And the rake, typical rake found in the farm. So yeah, the best you can really use it is to hold off fire strike and then hold them back and they'll die to the fire rather than using it as a swinging weapon. So Broom, Femurs are quick, close quarters, or rusty sword, close quarter, and the rake. I'm just going to do some mentions of weak weapons. They're not really weak, but they're just so plentiful that you'll probably use it. It would be an early game weapon, or very likely to come across it in the first kind of 10, 20 or 30 minutes of playing the game if you're exploring the buildings, that is. So the kitchen knife, it's a very fast weapon. So there's also the hammer, simple weapon, not designed, more of a tool than a weapon, but it works. So it's a fast, close quarters, not the best for when you're attacking many zombies, but it does the job. You get the rusty sword is just in that little building there. If you go across the tall bridge just across there, you can get hold of the rusty sword. If you just want a sword, it's just starting, and it's not too bad. It's 50. It's quite a relatively good starter. It's better than having the broken rusty sword, so just having that would get you started anyway. Although you probably, the old family axe is probably got a bit more DPS, so use that. So an old family axe might get it in the first couple of minutes. You have to do a quest to get this, so but it's because it's sort of in the early game, you could have it easily if you know where it, of course, like if you know where it is, the quest is, and that it's quite easy. It's fairly decent weapon to get started. And you've probably come across that before. Depends on what you new players normally do. I think from my experience, I didn't always immediately come across all the weapons in line, so miss all these low weak weapons you'd miss out and go just for the sword. You'd probably go for a rusty sword, broken sword. But there's if you know where to look, the quickest and best weapon in this area to go for is literally the gambler's sword. It's a very decent weapon, one that would get you quite all the way to the first towers. It's essentially the same weapon as a waver sword. If you haven't seen that sword, this would be identical to it, but slightly stronger when repaired. And you've logged out and logged in. I'll talk more about that sword with the other swords. You'll probably be able to pick up the gambler's sword within like the first 20 minutes of playing the game. That's if you know where to look for the quest. And one of the things when measuring the weapon strength is I've made a rough estimate of the strength of the zombies and the hit points, everything. So it's based. Some of it's based. The hit points is based on what I know of my actual hit point level in the game, and the rest is on the zombies. So what I can be certain of is the attack for the male zombies seem to be between 10 and 8 between various versions. The female always seems to be level 1 always seems to be 7 and 9. So the first couple we're very quite sure we can, and we know that it's for higher levels. Their attack is, for example, what a level 100 zombie is 208 when it attacks. We're not absolutely sure if the exact HP or hit points of the zombie is exactly the same as the hit points for the same level my avatar or game character, but they're probably similar. They're probably the same for the demons, but we know that their knights and the demons have armor for some of it, so I don't know how that works, but it's sort of similar. Armor obviously makes it harder for the weapons to do damage, especially in the beginning when you start hitting for like the demon grunts and the demon overlord. The Childen of Gwyn, it's a little bit more tricky because again we're not sure if it's how they have any resistance to their weapons. So that's just to give an idea of the game points. This is based on the low weapons, so the gambler's sword, the old family axe, the rusted sword knight, and the bones. So these are just the early 100. Level 50 is 100 for the gambler's sword, 50 to rusty sword, and vice versa. So let's have a little play with the local level 1 zombies around here. So level 2, so this zombie level 2 is going to have 12 attack on me, so 12, 15, so when they hit the green one takes or endurance, and it's always less than. It tends to hover roughly as similar. As they get massively stronger, it does go down more, but the first couple of percent it's only about 5 or so. I think their level or HP is roughly equal to the rise in the zombies, so a level 39 zombie will have about 1010 HP hit points. Females have a little bit less attack. So I think it's 9. You can see it's going up by 7, 8, 9. So 9 attack for level 2 zombie. Whereas the level 2 would be 12 for the higher. So level 1's female is a bit less than level 2's. I can keep them in this part. So 7 attack, so that's 3. And this is, it goes up by 2 attack points per zombie, so the males are a bit more than the females. The knights are a bit different because, so we're just going to visit the knight into a shack just to show how his armour is. Quite a bit more endurance to hold it back, and his attack is sort of certainly more. His level's level 8. So when you hit the demon, you can hear the armour about 50%, and you just go on to the but yeah, I wouldn't attack him in the early game. Wouldn't be worth it. In my next video of all the weapons in the Black Masses, I'll be talking about the swords in the game, and I'll be showing how they fight and what some of the demons that we have combat with the swords, and where you can get hold of some of these swords. Just like 1%. That would be death, unfortunately.